Nicola Sturgeon's resignation may not necessarily trigger a resurgence in Labour, will almost certainly not trigger a resurgence in the Conservative Party in Scotland, but it should trigger a focus on Scottish politics. Not necessarily towards independence. That boat may possibly have sailed. If anybody was going to push independence through, it was going to be Nicola Sturgeon. We wait to see who is going to replace Nicola Sturgeon, but it may not be that the honeymoon period for the new leader will automatically catapult Scotland into independence. That may be what is hoped, but that may not actually happen. What may happen is the independence question may be put on a back burner and may entirely be shelved altogether. But what a wise Westminster government would now do, and I'm not sure that Rishi Sunak leads such a government, would be to focus on Scotland. What is best for the future of Scotland? What is best for the future of the Union? Is there a union? So we not only need to think now very seriously about the future of Northern Ireland in Britain, but we need to think now about the future of Scotland in Britain. Now is the time to act. Now is the time to be thinking of initiatives which are going to pull Scotland and Northern Ireland firmly into the Union. And possibly we need to think very seriously about redefining what Great Britain is, what this union of countries should be. Because the union, as set forward, as set out in the early 19th century, doesn't work. And we've now got devolution, where Scotland has its own parliament, Wales has its own parliament, Ireland theoretically has its own parliament, but England doesn't. So how do we establish a proper, fair devolution of the different countries involved in Great Britain? How do we establish a parliament that's going to deal with the interests of the entire nation? How do we establish a new formula? So Gordon Brown's idea is that we abolish the House of Lords and we make the House of Lords into a sort of devolved assembly. I don't see quite how that works. Also, I worry that although there are, somebody said to me the other day that I'm championing the House of Lords, but not individual lords. Individual lords I'm castigating. Well, of course I am. There's always problems. There's always bad apples in the basket. And there's some seriously bad apples in the basket in the House of Lords. It is a basket case, of course, in certain instances. But the House of Lords is a place where you can write to, you can contact, if all other avenues of access are denied or prove to be uncommunicative. Our system at the moment, our democratic parliamentary system at the moment, is in tatters. It's not working well enough. Our opposition is not working effectively as an opposition. Our government is definitely not working properly as a government. And our parliamentary debating has failed. What we've got to is a position where people are sprouting slogans rather than actually listening to one another across the front benches. We need to have proper informed debate. If you want to find that proper informed debate, oddly, the place to do that is in the House of Lords, not in the House of Commons. In the House of Commons, you have bizarre people like Matt Hancock who turn up for 10 minutes to pontificate about something. Otherwise, they're on telly doing, "I'm a celebrity, get me out of here." You have Nadine Dorries doing her parliamentary stuff on Twitter. Otherwise, she's on telly. You have Boris Johnson doing his parliamentary stuff for, 10 minutes? And otherwise, he's giving speeches, putting hay in the attic. Giving speeches all over the world. When does he visit his constituency? When does he deal with constituency matters? there's an element of madness in the way that we are doing politics in Britain. We should be doing it better. We need to rethink. If we're going to rebuild the House of Parliament, we need to rebuild what's in there. And we need to make sure that devolution is effective. And it's not devolution to the point where Westminster approves of what you're doing. Devolution has to be proper devolution. We can't have Rishi Sunak interfering with what Scotland is doing because he doesn't like what they're doing. If they've got that area of responsibility, that's the area of responsibility they must have. The idea that Westminster can interfere in something that has already been approved of in the Scottish Parliament is simply farcical.